In life, we often encounter people who need help, and with natural kindness, we're inclined to extend a hand. But does every effort to help lead to results, or is it sometimes just futile? The answer can be complicated, as not everyone is willing to change or accept support from others. Sometimes, trying to help someone can feel like attempting to open a locked door, no matter how much effort we put into it. This article will take you on a journey to explore the types of people for whom our efforts often prove to be in vain. From those living in their worlds of illusion to those who take advantage of others' kindness or never admit their faults, they vividly illustrate the reality that not everyone is willing to change. So, how do you recognize these signs and take control of the situation? Join us as we delve into the 9 types of people you should learn to say no to so you can protect yourself and use your valuable energy more effectively. 1. The opportunists. Some people are always looking for opportunities to exploit others' kindness. They are cunning, knowing how to leverage your empathy and compassion for their benefit. These opportunists often wear the mask of friendship, but in reality, they only care about how they can use you. Imagine you have a friend who constantly asks for favors, from small requests like borrowing a little money to bigger ones, such as asking you to solve problems they could easily handle themselves. At first, you might feel happy to help, thinking it's what friends should do for each other. However, over time, you realize they never reciprocate your help with any acts of support. Instead, they only return to you when they need something. The key here is to recognize the signs of these opportunists and know when to say no. If you don't, you'll find yourself caught in an endless cycle of demands that drain you both mentally and physically. Helping others is noble, but only when that help brings true meaning and isn't taken for granted. Therefore, be mindful of relationships that lack mutual support and consider stepping back when necessary. Doing so protects yourself and ensures your kindness is reserved for those who genuinely need and deserve it. 2. Those who never admit their mistakes. In life, everyone makes mistakes. However, some people refuse to acknowledge that they could be wrong. They always blame the circumstances, others, or anything but themselves. These are the people who never admit their faults, and this prevents their personal growth from progressing. Imagine having a colleague who constantly runs into trouble at work. Instead of reflecting and reconsidering their approach, they always find a way to blame others or argue that company policies are too strict. For instance, they blame the team's inefficiency when a project is delayed, even though they didn't adhere to the timeline. When criticized, instead of listening and trying to improve, they respond with excuses or even lash out at others. Such individuals often lack self-criticism and humility, 2 crucial elements for personal development. They don't see admitting mistakes as the first step toward learning and growth. Instead, they cling to their ego and build a defensive wall to hide their shortcomings. This hinders their personal development and creates unnecessary tension in their relationships with others. When you try to help these people, you may quickly realize your efforts are unappreciated. Instead of addressing the issue honestly, they'll look for ways to justify and evade responsibility. In such a situation, you must ask yourself, is it worth investing your time and energy in trying to change someone who isn't willing to change? The answer may be no. Rather than trying to change them, sometimes you can focus on your growth and direct your energy toward those willing to listen and improve. Ultimately, distancing yourself from such individuals is not a sign of failure but a wise choice to protect your peace and personal progress. 3. Those who live in false realities. There are people in life who seem never to face the truth. Instead of confronting reality, they build their world of illusions where everything happens how they want it to. This isn't just about avoiding difficulties, but about completely denying the reality around them. They create stories, turning illusions into their reality, and live as if this is the only world that exists. Imagine you have a friend you always try to help. They respond with irrational arguments whenever you offer practical advice, defending the illusions they've created. For example, you might see them struggling financially and suggest they find a new job or adjust their spending. But instead of listening, they insist that everything will be fine because they believe that luck will come unexpectedly without them having to do anything. They cling to vague hopes instead of taking the necessary steps to improve their situation. When someone is too immersed in the illusions they've created, all the help from others becomes meaningless. You might try to bring them back to reality, but they will react by distorting the truth to fit their crafted narrative. This wastes your time and energy and can leave you feeling frustrated and powerless. In such situations, it's crucial to recognize the limits of your help. You can't change someone who isn't willing to face the truth. They need to acknowledge the problem and be ready to change before any assistance can be effective. Instead of pouring your energy into opening a locked door, focus your efforts on those genuinely willing to listen and change. This protects you from negative feelings and ensures that your help brings true meaning and value. 4. Those who don't prepare for the future. Some people choose to live only for today without thinking about tomorrow. They are content with the present and refuse to plan for the future, believing everything will somehow work out. While this attitude may seem appealing in the short term, it can lead to severe consequences in the long run. Imagine you have a friend who lives entirely in the moment, never worrying about what might happen next. They waste money without saving, and when you suggest they set aside some funds for emergencies, they just laugh and say, "Life is for enjoying." For example, this friend might refuse to invest in further education or improve their professional skills, believing their current job is enough to get by. However, when unexpected challenges arise, such as losing their job or facing rising medical costs, they have no measures to cope. People like this often overlook an essential truth: our actions today shape our future. Stoic philosophers have always emphasized the importance of living in the present while encouraging preparation for the future. Living responsibly means looking ahead, anticipating potential challenges, and planning how to deal with them. You may encounter resistance when you try to help these people see the bigger picture. They might think you're overly cautious or even mock you for being too careful. But the reality is, when difficulties arise, these are the first people to find themselves in crisis because they haven't prepared. So, what's the best way to deal with people like this? Instead of persuading them to change, you might keep some distance and let them take responsibility for their decisions. Everyone has their path. Sometimes, the most important lesson they need to learn is the consequence of unpreparedness. This doesn't mean abandoning them, but rather allowing them to recognize the importance of planning for the future when the present no longer offers them the security they once thought it would. 5. Those who avoid responsibility. In life, some people always find ways to dodge responsibility. Instead of admitting mistakes and learning from them, they take every opportunity to blame others or circumstances. These are the people who never accept that they might be the cause of the problem, and this prevents their personal growth from progressing. Imagine a colleague in your team who always finds a way to avoid accountability whenever a project goes awry. When mistakes happen, instead of taking responsibility and making corrections, they shift the blame to others or claim, "I was just following orders." For instance, when a report doesn't meet the mark, they might blame insufficient resources, even though they never asked for more information or checked thoroughly before starting. When criticized for their work attitude, they quickly justify themselves by saying that the workload was too high or that they were being mistreated. People like this lack self-reflection, a crucial quality that Stoic philosophers have always valued. To the Stoics, Taking responsibility for one's actions is a sign of maturity and the first step toward personal growth and self-improvement. By confronting mistakes, we can learn from them and avoid repeating them in the future. But for those who never accept their faults, this opportunity never arises. When you try to help people who avoid responsibility, you may find that your efforts are ignored or even met with resistance. They're not willing to listen, not willing to change. Instead, they continue the cycle of blame, creating tension and inefficiency in the workplace or personal relationships. In such situations, it's essential to know when to step back. You can't force someone to take responsibility if they are unwilling to. Instead, focus on managing your responsibilities and building relationships with people who value honesty and accountability. Sometimes, distancing yourself from these individuals helps you protect your energy and creates a more positive environment where everyone is ready to face their mistakes and grow together. True maturity comes from accepting our flaws and working to improve them. If you want to move forward in life, seek out and maintain relationships with people who have a strong sense of responsibility and are willing to acknowledge their mistakes and learn from them. 6. Those with expectations of privilege. Some people believe they deserve special privileges without making any effort. They feel entitled to special treatment, which makes them arrogant and creates unrealistic expectations. These people often have a strong sense of entitlement, failing to recognize the value of hard work and dedication. Imagine you have a new colleague who immediately expects to be promoted without having to prove their abilities. They believe that just because they have a good degree or connections, they should automatically be given important projects or be considered for higher positions. For example, they might refuse to take on small or less visible tasks, claiming that this is beneath my skill level or this isn't what I should be doing. They don't realize success is built on small efforts and persistence in daily work. People like this often don't understand that nothing comes easily or for free in life. Stoic philosophers always emphasize that a person's value doesn't come from a sense of entitlement, but from developing personal virtues like wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. They taught that only actual effort and dedication bring about deserved results. When you encounter people with unrealistic expectations, you may find it challenging to convince them that success must be built on hard work and continuous learning. They might dismiss or even ignore your advice, as in their minds, privileges are something they should naturally have, not something they need to earn. It's best to remain calm in these situations and not let their attitude affect you. Instead of trying to change their mindset, focus on being an example of humility and hard work. Show them through your actions that true success comes from persistence and continuous self-improvement. By holding firm to these values, you protect yourself from negative influences and create a more positive work or living environment. Remember, actual privileges are not handed out easily. They are rewards deserved by those who continuously strive and grow every day. 7. Those trapped in pessimism. Everyone has moments of negativity, but some people seem constantly stuck in a pessimistic mindset. They never see the silver lining in any situation, which affects them and spreads negativity to those around them. Imagine you have a friend who always sees the worst in everything. When you share the joy of a new job opportunity, they might say, "It probably won't last long. There'll be trouble soon." Or when you encourage them to try something new, they immediately reject it, saying, "I know it won't work." For instance, if you invite them to take a new course to improve their skills, they might respond with, "What's the point? The market is full of people better than me." People like this often don't realize that their pessimism creates a vicious cycle, preventing them from moving forward. They reject opportunities before even giving them a chance to succeed. so they never experienced the good things that could come their way. This mindset is the opposite of what Stoic philosophers advocate, encouraging us to face challenges with a resilient and positive mind. Stoics believe that while we cannot control circumstances, we can control how we react. When you try to help these people, you may feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. Every piece of advice or encouragement you offer is met with rejection and reasons why nothing will work. This drains your energy and can leave you feeling discouraged and frustrated. So, how do you deal with people trapped in pessimism? Sometimes, the best approach is to keep a little distance. You can listen and empathize, but you don't have to let yourself get caught up in their negative spiral. It's essential to protect your mind from the influence of their pessimism. Instead of trying to change their outlook, focus on maintaining your positive mindset and seek out people with the same outlook for growth and positivity. By doing this, you protect your mental health and create a more positive environment where you can continue to grow and achieve your goals without being held back by others' negativity. 8. Those who resist learning and change. Many cling to outdated beliefs and refuse to learn or change. They believe what they know and have always done is correct, and there's no reason to reconsider. This attitude keeps them stuck in a rut and hinders them from reaching their true potential. Imagine you have an acquaintance working in a particular field for many years. Despite rapid changes and technological advancements in their industry, they stubbornly refuse to learn or update their skills. When you suggest they take a course or try a new method, they might say, "I've been doing it this way for years, and it still works. There's no need to change." For example, a teacher might refuse to use technology in the classroom, insisting that traditional teaching methods are best, even though students increasingly need more modern learning approaches. These individuals fail to recognize that life is constantly changing, and to grow truly, we need to be flexible and willing to learn. Stoic philosophers taught that wisdom is not a static state, but an ongoing process of self-improvement. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, emphasized that we should always be open to new perspectives and not fear correcting our mistakes. Learning and change are opportunities to expand our knowledge and are essential for adapting and thriving in an ever-evolving world. You may face rejection or even strong opposition when you try to encourage people who resist change. They may need to see the value in broadening their horizons and keeping themselves updated, leading them to fall behind and struggle to meet new demands in life or work. In such cases, it's crucial to accept that not everyone is willing to learn or change, and that's beyond your control. Instead of trying to change them, focus on maintaining your flexibility and growth. Be an example of continuous learning and a willingness to try new things. You might inspire others through your actions. Remember, change must come from within, and sometimes, those who resist learning must experience difficulties before realizing the necessity of change. In the meantime, keep investing in your personal development, as it's the surest path to success and fulfillment in life. 9. The arrogant. We often encounter people who believe the world revolves around them. These are the arrogant ones who think that everything centers on them and that they alone deserve attention. They consider themselves the most important and frequently dismiss the feelings and thoughts of others. Picture a colleague who always insists that their opinion is the only one that matters. When you share a new idea or propose a solution, they immediately dismiss it, insisting that only their way will work. For example, in a team meeting where everyone is brainstorming solutions to a complex problem, this person doesn't listen, but instead keeps emphasizing that only their solution can yield the best results. They're not interested in hearing or considering other perspectives because, in their view, no one understands better than they do. Arrogant individuals often fail to realize that their attitude isolates them. They create an invisible barrier that distances them from others, and while they may think they're winning in every argument, the reality is that they're pushing people away. This weakens personal relationships and hinders their growth, as they never open themselves up to learning from others. If you try to help these people, you might find that they're not listening to you. No matter how good your advice is, it goes unheard because they believe they already know everything. This is a clear sign that your efforts to help them will not be fruitful, as they're unwilling to change or accept ideas other than their own. In these situations, it's essential to recognize your boundaries. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is step back and let them learn through their experiences. Instead of persuading them to change, focus on those willing to listen and grow together. By doing this, you protect your energy and maintain healthy and positive relationships in your life. Conclusion: be selective and focus on what's worth it. Throughout this article, we've explored 9 types of people for whom your help may be futile. From those living in illusions, opportunists, to those who continually avoid responsibility or resist change, they all share one common trait: they are unwilling or unable to change. Therefore, any effort you put into them may waste your valuable time and energy. The key is to recognize that only some deserve your help. Instead of trying to change those who don't want to change, focus on people who are genuinely willing to listen and improve themselves. By doing so, you protect your energy and create a more positive and lasting impact on your own life and the lives of others. Remember, personal growth is a journey that each individual must take responsibility for. You can be a source of motivation, but ultimately, the decision to change rests with each person. So, invest your time and effort in those who are worth it and continue developing yourself daily. Thank you for taking the time to read this article. Apply what you've learned to your life, and don't forget to protect your mental well-being and inner peace. See you in the following video, where we'll continue exploring deep and valuable topics to help you live a more fulfilling and meaningful life.